This is my handbell assignment project. I chose Aloha Oi, as you can see. I chose to make it on a poster board that had glitter borders because I thought it would catch the eye of my clinical populations that I would want to work with. I know that when I see glittery posters, I get excited. So that's why I chose it. If you want to look towards the back, I have a sheet music score that I had printed out for my own reference purposes while I'm facilitating. I just chose to do the refrain, simple, pretty short, a way to say goodbye at the end of a session or at the end of working with a client. And then over here I have a little cheat sheet that just reminds me of the range and the total number of notes as well as the categories, so how many people could be in the ensemble portion. There's a total of 7 note categories. It ranges from D4 to C5, and there's a total of 37 notes. And it would be roughly for a pretty large population, or ensemble, because there's about 7 note categories. So I chose this melody particularly because when Professor Fox first introduced the assignment to the class, I wasn't sure in which song I should pick to facilitate my bell chart therapy session. It had to be a melody that could be applied to several populations and not just one specific one. And that's like how the previous projects I've faced have been. I stumbled with several ideas like Frosty the Snowman, What a Wonderful World, She'll Be Coming Around the Mountain, but I settled on the idea, or the song of Aloha Oi, for my handbell unit assignment for several reasons. For one, I think the tune is pretty simple and the melody is really pretty. It was pretty easy to sing. I think I was able to learn it after 3 times of singing through it, just because there were a couple tricky rhythms and a couple of arpeggios that were a little hard to hear. So I think after 1 or 2 sessions, a group should be able to sing it correctly. And over here, to combat those tricky rhythms, I tried to make some of the pedals a little bit smaller or a little bit larger so that people would know to hold it more, or breeze through it for the 16th notes. I chose to complete this project using Aloha Oi also because the song evokes a sense of peace through an arpeggiated rhythm and major melody, at least in my personal experience. The lyrics were first difficult to pronounce for me because it switches in between Hawaiian and English, but again, I was able to learn it pretty simply after a couple times. And I wanted to also make sure that I would include the English translation in my facilitation of teaching the song so that people could get significance out of the song and not just think, oh, this is a pretty melody. I created this handbell chart for Aloha Oi with the intent to use it in clinical populations such as hospice care or with a youth group, probably younger, just because the colors are more primary. As the lyrics focus on somber but hopeful goodbyes for a better tomorrow or a final end to a beautiful life. So, without further ado, I would love to facilitate this handbell chart for you guys, and it starts on D. So, aloha oi, aloha oi, iki ona ona noho, I ka palipo, one fond embrace, before I now depart, until we meet again. And ideally this would be done with bells or boom whackers. I think I would really love to do bells because it sounds pretty. And I think the biggest thing I'm excited for in facilitating this with handbells is how people's faces light up, because in my own experience when I worked with handbells, I've thought it's super pretty and super fun to wait your turn, even though it might be a little bit hard at times. And I think something that really frightens me actually is the fact that the rhythms might be a little difficult and that people might not be willing to sing it for emotional purposes or just lack of care. But I learned a lot from this handbell chart assignment, and I look forward to learning even more. I think the biggest takeaway was that this is really fun, and it's gonna be a good tool to use. So thank you, that's my video.